They sold out, man. They sold out, and like obviously it didn't work out. But like, would you take back any of those deals?
I just want to give a quick Avalanche season summary, okay? Because this was a whopper for them, and by the time they reached the playoffs, they were my honest favorite, meaning not emotional picking the Oilers favorite. They were my honest favorite to come out of the West, and I know they were for PD as well, and we'll talk to him in a few minutes. But they start the season 0-4-0, then 5-7-0. On November 30th, they trade for Scott Wedgwood. On December 9th, they trade a second-round pick, Alex Georgiev, and more for Mackenzie Blackwood. Then on January 24th, when they are in wildcard position, they trade Mikko Rantanen and get Martin Necas, Jack Drury, Hurricanes' second-round pick in 2025, Hurricanes 2026 fourth. March 1st, they are still in the first wildcard spot. They trade for Charlie Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey. They give up a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. I, quite frankly, had forgotten about that.
Ryan Lindgren,
my bad. At the deadline, they trade Callum Ritchie, their top prospect, for Brock Nelson, who's a UFA. They trade Casey Middlestat, the Hurricanes' second-round pick they got in the Rantanen trade, and last year's third-round pick for Charlie Coyle.
Mm-hmm.
They finished third in the Central with a positively banging roster, deep down the middle, good defensemen, good goaltending, and they go up against a Dallas team that is both hobbled, no Heiskanen, no Robertson, and that Dallas team had lost 7 straight going into the postseason, and they lose. They now don't have picks in the first 3 rounds of each of the next 2 drafts. They only have 1 pick in the first 6 rounds this year.
They sold out, man. They sold out, and like obviously it didn't work out. But like, would you take back any of those deals?
I would not have done the Rantanen trade. I would have signed Rantanen and figured out the rest later. And especially now that the cap is going up, we've since learned, I for sure would have done that. Once they made that Rantanen trade, I would have done all those other things. And like looking at the landscape of the Western Conference, some of the injuries that were happening and just how some of these teams looked, I would have thought that the Western Conference was there for the taking. And I think it was. I think they were right to make those moves. Here is Nathan MacKinnon after Game 7.
Way it goes.
I know, like from the outside, people are going to look at this and say, look, 2 of the best teams in the league went to break down to the wire in Game 7. But is it hard for you guys to feel like you can win the Stanley Cup and go out in the first round?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were missing their best D and maybe their best forward, so we still couldn't beat them. So, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do.
Thanks, no, appreciate it.
I don't know what we're going to do is I don't even know if it's intentional, but just such a damning quote of like, we're kind of fucked. I don't think they are that fucked, but they are now suddenly in a quite unenviable situation or position because they basically have to sign Brock Nelson.
Yeah, and I mean there was talk about it when we were kind of discussing who needs this first round more. Like the Jets or the Avs sold out for this season, and if they didn't win that first round, then you look at kind of the outlook and you're like, damn, just like Nathan MacKinnon was there. Whereas Dallas fans were resigned to being like, this isn't our year. We made these moves for years down the line. We've got Rantanen locked up for 8 years. Like Wyatt Johnson's super young. Miro's not healthy. We don't need to have this one.
Correct.
They still got it. And they still have like the very, very positive long-term outlook. You're right. Like him sitting there and saying, I don't know what they're going to do, or I don't know what we're going to do. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. We're supposed to be looking at their outlook and being like, damn, it's kind of crazy. Like, I wonder which way they go here. You don't want Nathan MacKinnon doing that. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, Dr. Smacken, I believe it was, in the chat said, so in summary, they traded Rantanen and have no picks.
Yeah.
Crazy. Petey, you and I both had the Avalanche making a deep run this postseason. What did the Stars do? What are the Stars doing right now? And do we go from, you know what, this just isn't their year, they're a little hobbled, to maybe they waltz to the Western Conference Final, and once they're there and they're healthy, do they go further than they did a year ago?
Well, this was hard because this is the team I really liked. And at some points during the season, I said this is the team that could win the cup. But that was also a healthy team. And when you put the Colorado Avalanche on paper, I'll tell you this right now. I think I know stuff about hockey because I watch as much hockey as anybody on the planet. Like, I just do. I watch
Okay,
a ton of
Connor
hockey.
Hellebuyck voice. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I study goaltending more than anyone. But the point is, when you finish game 82, the teams you looked at that go, my gosh, they could go for a long run in this series were the Tampa Bay Lightning, who had the hottest goalie since the Four Nations in Vasilevsky. Their scoring depth was amazing. They acquired bottom six guys at the trade deadline. You go, Tampa. Tampa's going to get through Florida because Florida's hobbled. They won't start off right away on game one because they've struggled on the last 10. They'll get through Florida, and they're going to go right to the finals. The same thing can be said for Colorado. This is a team that did everything they needed to, as you guys alluded to, what they did up the middle for their depth. They made every trade move correct except the one that's going to haunt them. And I don't know how MacFarland and Sakic can sleep right now and letting Rantanen go. And I'm telling you, those guys in the locker room are pissed. They are so mad at their management right now because Rantanen didn't get that phone call saying, hey, you take this deal or we're going to trade you. He didn't get that call. You got to give that player that opportunity to go, okay, whoa, okay, I want to be here. I love it here. This is where I want to be. I love Colorado. This is my team, my teammates. I want to go to war with them. Well, let's hang on and figure something out. He didn't get that opportunity. And you know who knows that? We know it. You know who else does? The players. And the players are pissed. And Rantanen took it and shoved it right up their rear end. And I'm guaranteeing that first call is to MacFarland. Hey, how's that trade looking now? Because that ruined that team. And you know that locker room's thinking, what the hell did we do? We have that guy in our room. We roll the Stars in the first round. I know we got Natchez, who was great. He had one goal in the playoffs. Buddy, Nelson, none. Coyle, none. They didn't get the second string. Nice players. Did everything they could have done. But if you put Rantanen in a Colorado Avalanche sweater for that series, it's not close without Heiskanen and without Robertson. Colorado wins that series. So the players are frustrated with what their management has done. But that's another team. That's my finals. It was Tampa and Colorado. So who's the hockey genius now? I don't know. That's how tight this series and the parity in this league right now. It's who's playing the best hockey now. Can the Dallas Stars win this the Western Conference? Absolutely. And as they become healthier, Heiskanen, you talked about Ceci. Cody Ceci was phenomenal because he had to be. He was great. You talk about Thomas Harley stepping up to the plate and how well he played. Esa Lindell played better defensively. This is a defense that we said was going to be weak because they didn't have Heiskanen. And yet here they are, and they defended extremely well against a much better, stronger, faster, more offensive team than the Winnipeg Jets. And they just beat them. So this series, there's a lot going to be relying on this series. And you've already brought it up. This is going to be which goaltender's better. And this is going to be a heck of a battle for Team USA.
You know what? I did not. I overlooked on the McKinnon quote because I was just so stunned by the raw emotion and the honesty there. The translation of, so I don't know what, we just played a team that didn't have their number one defenseman or one of their top scorers, and we still didn't beat them. So I don't know what we're going to do. I took that as like where do we stand now? Maybe that was just like a nice one, boys. Cool.
Oh, for sure it's management. 100% it's management. You know, the second that series was over and the guy that did it to him, if Rantanen gets no goals in this series and he's which is what I expected, he was going to have a tough time playing Colorado and they were going to beat him up and they were going to be tough on him. And they were physical in front of him. But that second that bell rung and he had a hat trick and 4 points in 2 straight games, they are MRFing their management right now. And I'm telling you, they're throwing their helmets and gloves when they got in that locker room and they're blaming the general manager. I guarantee it that they go, we let this guy go. We let him go and we didn't give him a chance to make a better deal. And they're pissed. And this is going to be a tough summer to rebuild that bridge between management and players. I believe that wholeheartedly because right now players are going, this is what you did to us. We had a team that could have won the Stanley Cup. Now what? Now, where are we for the next 2 or 3 years? And I really think it hurt their confidence. Luckily for them, they brought Landeskog back when they did, because I do think that brought them a shot in the arm inside the room. But this is a big deal. And I don't think that pain from this loss, because of how they lost and who they lost to, is going to go away for a long time. This is going to look for the Colorado Avalanche to start off slow at the beginning of next season.
We all silly like the mayor.